everybody, welcome back. I am TheReadingTortie, and today I'm actually doing my very first book review on my channel, which will be Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I'm sure I butchered that name, but Mr. Andre, Call Me By Your Name. This book is possibly one of the best books I've ever read. I wanted initially to start this in June to upload this book for Pride Month because I'm out of Austin, Texas. But didn't get around to it, but this book is still very special and still deserves quite a bit of attention. If I'm not mistaken, there is a movie coming out in November. It's won some pretty prestigious awards in film festivals and stuff. So coming out in November, everyone should check it out because this book is brilliant and I have very high expectations. I hope I'm not let down. I don't think I will be. But yes, Call Me By Your Name is a book we'll be featuring this video. Again, notes, because a book review of this just caliber, I could not begin to remember absolutely everything. As you can see, I've tabbed the heck out of this book because these are all my favorite parts, and I'm sure I've missed probably every other page that I didn't tab. I also made notes, copious notes, on this book because this book is just so poetic, so quotable. Possibly one of the most quotably poetic books I have read in a very long time. I'm going to try to be as objective as possible because all I really want to do is gush about this book. But that would be kind of unprofessional, and I'm going to try to keep my reviews as professional as possible. When I do my book reviews, I really want to focus on characters, setting, plot, conflict, and resolution. This book is a little bit different than most other books in that it's all introspective and it's all told as a recollection of Elio as an adult. So he's recalling his entire life pretty much with Oliver. So it's different as far as conflict and resolution. There really is no resolution, spoilers, but it still eats your heart out and it eats your soul and it makes you want to just curl up and cry from how absolutely beautiful this book is. So let's start. This book follows Elio and Oliver as a memory, and it's Elio's trepidations about his first, what I consider real love. He's 17 years old, and Oliver is a guest at his parents' summer home in Italy, and immediately Elio wants to be friends with Oliver, but Oliver seems a little standoffish. He's very carefree, everybody loves him, very charismatic, and Oliver quickly becomes a very integral member of the house with his dad. So Elio has to struggle with his love for Oliver, love for the house, his love for other people in the story, and it's not the same caliber of love. I know some reviews have said that it's more lust, but I think it's Elio coming to terms with, I like Oliver and everybody else likes him, so it's okay. Elio's very comfortable with his own sexuality. He knows he's bisexual and he's happy with it, comfortable with it, but he doesn't know if Oliver likes him back. And the entire book follows Elio's struggle with, does Oliver like me or doesn't he? The characters of the book really are primarily Elio and Oliver. The father also plays, I think, a pretty integral part of the story, and the father is a retired professor, if I'm not mistaken. And he welcomes academic minds into his house, and every summer he welcomes a different person to stay and work on their academic works, as well as help the father with his academic works. So it's a very academic house, and that's how Oliver ends up in Elio's life. The father himself is almost in the background, but he plays a very important part of the transition after Oliver leaves Elio's life. So I think he's really important. The house itself is also very much a character. It's alive with the people, with the minor cast, and everybody in the book seems to have a purpose, and it really gives a very raw, realistic background to Oliver and Elio's escapades. You know, they're having their own thing. They're having their own little drama that only they know about because he blinked a certain way or he moved his shoulder a certain way. And the world keeps spinning. You know, the gardener comes in and he's fixing someone's bike because Oliver fell and Elio didn't know. And all of a sudden, you know, Elio's a little annoyed. Why didn't I know? And it really is such a realistic and honest environment that I believe if I go to some house in Italy and I'm going to be there as a summer guest in this professor's house, I believe that all the characters will be there. And it's such a grounded and very authentic and genuine way to tell the story of Elio and Oliver that it's amazing, especially considering this is all a memory of Elio's. So he would be that familiar with all of the guests there and all of his servants and things of that nature. So, father, good guy. Elio and Oliver kind of just eat my heart out because they are amazing. Elio is a typical 17-year-old boy. He is going through his feelings of lusting, not lusting, confusion. Does Oliver like me? Does he not like me? Oh, I also like this girl who's very sweet. And that's why I think some people say that it's more lusting, when I think it's just a regular 17-year-old boy coming of age and trying to figure out what he's actually feeling for who, especially since he thinks Oliver is never going to reciprocate his feelings. So throughout the book, it's just Elio pondering of, if Oliver did this, this is what would happen. If I did this, would Oliver do this, or maybe he'll do this, and then something similar happens, and Oliver's just completely different, and Elio's just, okay, that just happened. But it's very real, and we've all been there. We've all had that person that we have some connection to, but only you two really know the connection. And this really just brings to life that youthful, innocent playfulness that I think as we become adults kind of goes away, because it's different when you're 17 and you're kind of having a crush on this very intelligent, well-spoken, popular, charismatic individual, in this case Oliver, and you're kind of wondering, oh, is he meaning what I think he's meaning, or is he meaning something else, or is it all just in my head? So it's just very real, and I'm taken back to when I was 15 and I wanted that connection with someone, and then I had that connection with someone, and it's just so realistic that I think it's really difficult to do successfully, and I think that Andre Aciman did it very, very well. Elio is also someone that I think is easily relatable to. So when I open this book, I am Elio, and I'm wondering and confused if Oliver likes me, and I'm the 17-year-old boy in Italy that's trying to determine, is this a good day to talk to Oliver? Can I ask him about this? Can we go into town on our bikes together, or will he say no because of some reason that I'm pretty sure is not true? And now, funny story, I hear a foreign accent, a European accent of some sort, a French accent or an Italian accent, and I am suddenly Elio, and I'm looking for Oliver, and it's really unhealthy, but that's just how much this book has meant to me. And I'm sitting there reliving the entire book over and over and over again, and it's lovely, but I'm probably shouldn't be thinking about my book. I should probably be thinking about work or something, so it's not very productive. But this book really just worms its way into your life with these characters and just makes you fall in love with them. At least I think so. The plot of the story is really just Elio's reflections on how Oliver has affected his life. And there's a moment in the book where Elio says that there is a time before Oliver and a time after Oliver. And really just pause to think about that. That's quite an impact this guy had on Elio's life. That there is before Oliver came in and after Oliver came in, and obviously after Oliver came in is a very long time, because this only lasted 6 weeks over the summer when he was 17 years old. And the plot just follows Elio reflecting on how much Oliver has affected his life. And after Oliver goes back to the States after the summer is over, Elio highlights where Oliver has landed in his life. Like 10 years later, they come into contact again. 15 years later, they come into contact again. And 20 years later, they come into contact again. And it's really the telling and the reality that in his heart, Elio is always somehow with Oliver. Wherever he is, Elio, there is a moment where he's thinking, if Oliver was here, this is what we would be. And I feel like in his mind, whenever he thinks about that, Elio is 17 again and Oliver is 24, and they are fishing and swimming together in the ocean, and then they go back to their rooms and they play their little teasing game. And that's really reflected because the youthfulness never leaves them, and it never leaves you as the reader. You always know that Elio, when he thinks about Oliver, he's 17 again. And I think we all have those people in our lives that we think about them, and suddenly I'm 15 again. You know, I'm not 25. I'm 14, 15 years old, and I'm wondering, does he like me? Does she like me? You know, what's going on? So I really like that, but the plot is very introspective, and I know that kind of gets on a lot of people's nerves. It's also told, obviously, from first-person point of view, so we never really know what Oliver is actually thinking, except what Elio tells us he's saying. And then sometimes you wonder if Oliver actually said that, or if it's all in Elio's head, which it's all good, because it's very lovely. It's all just lovely. So even if you do get a little confused, you're confused and lost in loveliness. And isn't that the best way to be confused? So the conflict and the resolution. The conflict is pretty much, does Oliver like me? After that is resolved, hint, hint, Oliver does like Elio, and it's a beautiful confession that I totally tabbed here, and I read about 10 times, and then I cried my eyes out. So after that's resolved, the conflict is, how much did Oliver affect Elio's life? And Elio reflects on the fact that Oliver is present, as I stated earlier, in almost every aspect of Elio's life. Some essence of Oliver is there. And Elio is always thinking, Oliver this and Oliver that, and the bathing suits, and the night in Rome. Every time he goes to Rome, if you guys read the book, which I hope you guys do, and I think you guys should, there is a section in Rome now that Elio is there with Oliver. Every time he sees it, they are back 17 to 24, and they're both drunk, just wasted, and he relives it every single time. And it's a very haunting feeling, and it's a lovely, beautiful haunting feeling. And this book is a very haunting and beautiful book. So the conflict never really goes away. There really is no resolution, because Oliver and Elio, spoiler, judging by the back of the book, tells you that it lasts a summer, so they don't end up together. And there's always that lack of fulfillment and lost love, and the wistfulness of lost love, and it's very heartbreaking and lovely. And you know, there's so many stories like these, and when you hear it and you see a reflection of them, and they're both talking, you know, when they're in their 40s and 30s, and they're like, I don't want to call it a regret, because that's just sad, and it's just there really is no resolution. There is just life. And that's what this book is about, honestly. It's just life after that summer that has defined you for the rest of your life, and you hope has defined the person that you're with for the rest of their life. And it's just lovely and beautiful. And if you disagree with me, please tell me, but I will probably just sit here and gush over this book again, because this book just is lovely, beautiful. Please read it. It is possibly one of the greatest queer books I have read. I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning, but this was supposed to be for Pride Month. I probably did, and now I'm repeating myself. Beautiful book. And it's just very real, because Elio is 17, and the conflicts are very real. And I think we've all had those conflicts when we're 17, either questioning our own sexuality, accepting our own sexuality, and then kind of just dealing with those loves that we are so sure were true, but life just isn't. It's not the right time. It's not the right lifetime. It's not the right place. And maybe in another lifetime, in another time, in another existence, it would have worked. But this isn't the right time or the right place. And this book is the epitome of that. But it's done in such a beautiful way that even at the end, the closing line, that just makes me want to cry every time. You know that it still ended the way it should. And the ending is just honest and raw and true, just like this entire book. There are moments in it where, see, I'm gushing, I'm trying not to, but it's not working. There are moments where some people that I've talked to about, they're like, oh wow, that's gross. It's like, no, It's an honest, completely naked, raw love and complete acceptance and vulnerability with each other. And that's something you don't really see very often. But this book does it. And it's lovely and beautiful. And that's about all I can keep saying about this book, is that if you're into good queer fiction, and I think this is good queer fiction, I hope that you guys agree, you guys should read it. And if you haven't read it, and you've been debating picking it up, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, lovely. I'm posting a full review on my blog at some point. It will be there, and it's probably going to be much longer than this video. Going to be a lot more professional because I still kind of went on a tangent about it. And like I said, movie's coming out in November. I wish that I had known this, because when I read it, I thought it had already come out, and come to find out, it hasn't come out yet. So I kind of wallowed for about a week, 2 weeks, thinking, how am I going to live my life until November, because this book has just impacted me so much. And every time I'm in a bad spot and I'm angry and frustrated with something, I just open this book and I remember it's beautiful and lovely and life is suddenly okay again. So if you fear that this book is going to consume your life the way it consumed mine, which it might, and you think you won't be able to make it till November, feel free to read this right before the movie comes out. It's a quick read. It is 256 pages. 248, just kidding. And the font is lovely. It's not overly crowded or anything. But yeah, good book. Please pick it up. I will probably upload at some point a topic of discussion for this book. I'm not sure what I will be discussing. I'm going to try to make it as academic as possible and not make it as gushy, but it will probably be gushy because it's lovely. And it might have to do with the relationship of the father, Oliver, and Elio. And Oliver and Elio, and Elio and Oliver all over again. So, good book. I hope this review was good. It's my first review. Let me know if you guys want a different structure, or if you just thought it was a bunch of unnecessary rambling on my part, and if it frustrated you. Please let me know. I hope it didn't. But thank you for visiting my channel, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!